All right, folks. What do we look like here? How is everybody doing? My goodness, 170. We're
Coming in
just
fast and
about it.
furious.
Yeah, coming in. I see, I see. How do you attach music to this? Yeah, we're just sharing music in Zoom, kind of going throughout, and that's part of the share option, just like share your computer's sound. So that's what we're doing. Yep, Guardians of the Galaxy. We just finished up, Biz and I. So we're doing 2 sessions a day, as I'm sure you guys all know, and we had a nice, long, juicy Q&A and kind of finish up. So after a quick refresh and going through, we are ready to go for round two at 11 o'clock. Hope everyone is doing well. Today is sprouting. And sprouting gets a lot of the fun stuff that we're going to be doing here. So in just a minute, I want to hit at least 200, I think, before we get started. In a minute, we're going to go through and talk about some of the meat that's in there. And we've talked about it. We think this.
Hey, Brian, did we lose you?
I certainly hope not.
We're good.
Okay, because everyone froze, and I'm getting a note now that my internet is unstable. So that would be terrifying. Luckily, luckily,
Can't do
Biz
it
knows.
again.
I will try to make sure. I will get some of my kids holding the wires together if need to. We'll make sure. Um, we'll make sure that the internet is working. Thank you, Mr. Madison. Much appreciated. Good to hear from you again. All right, so we're going to get started in just a little bit. I'm going to uh, get you away from Petco. I'm not sure how that got there. Um, I'm going to start sharing my screen in a bit. We're going to go back to Canvas. Let me log in. All right. Man, I haven't delayed quite enough yet. So, before we get started, just a couple of reminders. One, there's going to be links near the end of the session that are going to be about the attendance, so the form. So please make sure to fill out the form and fill it out correctly, and make sure all the information that's being asked is being put in. So the only way we can get attendance done for you guys is if you fill out the form and do it as soon as possible. It's not going to last there forever. So just get it and get it done, then move on with your life. The next thing is that there are some wonderful resources that are in Canvas in this course. The course will stay open to you guys for the foreseeable future, so you don't have to worry about it going away. Um, but also there is the ITCs for All YouTube that has a lot of the video resources and much more that we're talking about here. And finally, one bit of housekeeping is that this one won't be as fast. I hope I'm going to try to take it slow. There's just a few things. This is one of the easier days, I think. So we're going to go through. But if you've missed stuff, if something it didn't work out, so you were putting in a question or you were working on something and missed what I said and got lost, this will be recorded just like the 9 a.m. session was. So by all means, watch over and over again. You'll probably even get to listen to Rubber Band Man again at the beginning, recorded. So it chock full of fun. And you know what? We're over 200 people, so I think we'll get started now. All right, everybody. Going to share, and ta-da. Okay, so right now you should be seeing the course. This is Camp Canvas, and I clicked on my home page. So we can see right here recent announcements. Before we go any further, we all remember, right? This is our global navigation. This is our course navigation, right? So this always stays the same. This will change depending on what course we're in. So recent announcements are popping up at the top. I'm on home, and it is the home page right here. So as soon as I get below those announcements, I can see the home page. That's right there. So let's talk a little bit about pages, right? So if I click on pages, this button, it's still going to show me this home page because we have the home page, we're using our front page. So in pages, you have all of the pages that you've created get kind of cataloged and kept here. This is your reservoir of all your pages, right? It shows one front page that you get to choose. And if you want to look at all your pages, you just simply go to View All Pages. So we see the list of all the pages right here. We can see which ones are published, which ones aren't published. And if we decide, oh, and by the way, that front page, we can see there's a little note on it. It's way down here. Front page, we get a little note right there. Let's say if we want to change our front page, we've got dozens and dozens of options. But if we created a new one, we wanted to make it this welcome right here. If we wanted to change the welcome that Dan made, we could just click on these three dots right here, and I got a little bubble right in front of it, but it says right here, use front as front page. So if I clicked on that, it would change that as our front page. So when we are clicking on pages, now that page would show as the front page. We'll go back to that, but yeah, so if we want to continue using the front page as our home page, then that would also be the new home page. So we see that we have some options over here in these pages. So we have edit, if we want to go back to edit and get right back into the rich content editor. I click on this and we can see we're right back to something that hopefully is starting to look a little bit familiar. And we have all the options that are a part of the rich content editor, changing everything, adding things like links and video, external tools. We can edit as we want. I'm not going to do too much work on this one. We can check accessibility by clicking on this little guy in a bubble right here. And so if we click on the accessibility checker, yay, there's no issues here, so we should be good. Accessibility is something that's going to come up time and time again. Just to say it one more time, accessibility of a document is based on where it was created. So if we're creating something in Canvas, check the accessibility in Canvas to make sure it works. If you're using a Word document or an Office document, then you would want to check the accessibility there. PDFs also have accessibility checkers in them, so you could go through and check to see and make sure. So I see some more options when I'm in this editing, and I can change who wants to, who has the rights to edit a page. Is it just the people with the teacher roles? Is it the teacher and student roles, or is it anybody who lands on that page? I'm not sure if I'm sure there are situations where you would want students editing a page, but you can't just make it individual students or groups of students. So if you're opening it up to students, it's the students who land on that page. So I am sure there are situations that would do that, but I don't know how often you'd want to change that right there. If you want the page to show up in the to-do, remember the to-do list is created in your dashboard and you will see it on the right side. If you want the page to show up there, you can just add to-do and then you can add a date to it. And if you want to put it into Mastery Paths as something that they would see in Mastery Paths, you can check that button. We will touch on Mastery Paths just a little bit. I'm not going to go through in detail. I think that was mentioned yesterday. That is a lengthy topic that doesn't really fit in with this. The good Miss Summers has created a really great video that will help you guys understand what it is, but for 15 seconds or less, Mastery Paths is just allowing, based on the students' evaluative quiz or test, they get kind of shunted into different paths of assessments, and then they can work from there. And if you want to notify everyone that content has changed, you would hit this. So if you go through and make edits, you could then notify that it would get changed. Please remember that all notifications, how they pop up for you, are based on your account notifications. So even if you notify people, if a user has set, like, I don't want notifications, then it wouldn't pop up for them. They would see the changes, of course, and they would see any announcements that you make, though, in the course itself. So I'm going to hit cancel. Immersive Reader is an amazing tool that I'm sure many of you have already seen and used. And when we're in Canvas, we get it for pages, but we don't get it for anything else. That's heartbreaking for a lot of us. But right now, Immersive Reader is in Canvas only for pages. Now, you will have access to Immersive Reader in any of the other native environments like Office products that have it, or it tends to be throughout Windows. So if you end up if you use a link or something, you can get there. So Immersive Reader is in Pages. We have 3 dots there that just show, this is a fun little thing. If you want to check out and go back to a different page history. So if I click on this, we can see the different edits that were made. So if you're like, man, I made a change, but I want to go back to 2 days ago, then you can just kind of click on that and it will change. And we're not going to save that, of course, but you can change go back into the history. So I am going to go back to my laundry list of pages right here and just kind of show you also these options right here one more time. And you can just share, you can duplicate, you can edit, and you can delete right here as well. Pages, a lot of it is just the rich content editor. And so as long as you're becoming more familiar with that, you are becoming comfortable with Pages. All right, Biz, how am I doing so far? Biz, are you okay?
Sorry, I was
Yeah.
muted.
Okay.
I didn't want everybody hearing typing furiously. Okay, I'm going to ask you questions that are coming in right now. If you're working on a page and accidentally delete something, is there an undo button?
Yeah, there is an undo button, right? I saw an undo button. There, let me
Control
go
Z
back.
is my favorite undo button. It works
Control
pretty much
Z.
anywhere. Control Z on your keyboard, even if you don't see the button to undo, will undo things.
Yeah, so let's see here. I just want to go back to Pages, and while I'm going through and editing, and I mean, you can always cancel if you make a quick change and you don't want to. It's just like I do that all the time. And just cancel. Control Z works nicely too. What else we got?
The question is, are pages similar in function to Microsoft Sway?
Function, getting information out there. So the purpose of the page is for the participant to view and read and see and access information. So if by that you mean, is that the same way as Sway? Because Sway, that's the purpose of a Sway. Yeah, it's pages are really just informational documents that you're putting out there. They're very flexible, so you can do all sorts of different embedding and adding and external tools and add things in there that because of the rich content editor that Canvas allows for. But the primary purpose of the page is to get information out to the students.
Can you show where the accessibility checker is one more time?
Yeah, sure. So I'm just going to lower this right here so you can see what it might usually look like. It's this little guy in a bubble. And I don't think he's trying to escape. He's very happy in his bubble.
Okay. And I think you can go.
Okay, great. All right, so we are going off next to discussions. Discussions are discussion boards. And we can do a lot of great things with discussions. First off, you see that you have 3 different sections. You have pinned discussions, and closed for comments. So they're kind of exactly what they say. All your discussions will fall in the discussions section. You're seeing right now what I see for our Camp Canvas discussions, and there is one with a ton of replies in it. So it's been pinned just because, people are accessing it, going to it. So we wanted to make it easy for participants to find. A pinned discussion stays at the top of the list and doesn't get organized by time like the rest of them would. So if you want to pin a discussion, you simply just go to the three dots and hit pin, and that kind of moves it right there. It's like, oh wait, no, I don't want to pin that one. That was a mistake, and then you can just unpin it. And then so it just kind of moves it up top. When you are in discussions and you want to close for comments, it'll either go by the date that you've assigned, and we'll show you that when I kind of start up the mock one. Or you can just hit the close for comments button, and then it just kind of puts it in there. So it's no longer accessible to students. So when we are at the discussion section for our course navigation, we land on this list of discussions. You can search up here. You can add a discussion. I'm going to show you this little gear right here that gives us some options. The first one is manually mark posts as read. So this is a little confusing at first in that as you scroll by something that a student has posted, Canvas will say, okay, you've read that one. And then so it'll reduce the number. If you're catching this, I don't know if you can see it, it's small, but there are 78 replies here, but there are still 45 that I haven't read. So that's showing you the difference. And if I read those, that number decreases. So if you want to have to manually check it and kind of click on the little bubble next to the discussion before it reduces that number, then you just check that box. Student settings, these are the options for students. Do you want your students to create their own discussion topics? So if we wanted you guys to be able to create your own discussions, we would just check that box and then hit save settings. That is a teacher decision depending on the the scenario. Edit and delete their own posts. I'm a big believer in that. I want to be able to edit and delete my own posts. I make mistakes all the time, and I get real frustrated with the little mistakes that I make. I was one of those people very upset when we lost GroupWise's ability to retract emails, right? So I like being able to edit and delete my own posts, but you might feel that you want students to have to stand by what they've posted or for it to stay there. So you can choose to uncheck or check that. And also your decision to allow students to attach files to discussions. So those options are there in the gear. And then common favorites there. If we're going to create a discussion, so let's take a look at creating a discussion. I hit the plus, the blue plus discussion right there. I give it a topic. So best part of your summer. So just a topic discussion there, topic for the discussion. Then again, you're using your rich content editor. You're putting the stem, the starter, that is going to be the discussion itself. Tell us about what was the best part of your elongated summer. And you can go through, you have access to all these tools. You'll see in the Canvas course that we've posted some discussions as optional homework, and we started those off, each of them with a little video, just kind of have, and so you're just adding videos to those right here, upload or record. Again, this is just the basic rich content editor that you get. It makes it very, very flexible for what you get to do. You can choose which, again, accessibility checker, little guy in a bubble right there underneath each time for the rich content editor. If you want to attach a file because you want, you have more information that you want to share about the conversation, go ahead and choose the file to attach. Threaded replies. You've been a part of a threaded reply most likely. That is if it's not a threaded reply, if it's left blank, then you are only allowed to reply to the question starter, to the discussion starter question. You can't reply to other replies. If you allow for the threaded reply, then you get to reply to other people that have posted. So you get to decide if you want students to be able to reply to each other. Do you want users to post before they see any replies? If you don't want any opinions swayed amongst your students, so they can't read other answers, they have to post first, and then they get to see all the replies. Enable podcast feed if you want to. We haven't gone too much in that. It's just if you're doing a podcast, I'm not sure if you're doing it in a discussion. Graded, do you want this to be graded? And if so, you kind of go through and start with all the points that you would do. Assignment groups we're not going to really touch on because we're still waiting for Prince William County to decide how that would be a part of the hub and gradebook and everything like that and assignments. So we're not going to get too much into assignment groups. Display as points or percentage based on your grade. Secondary, high school, you guys are going to be points percentage. Middle school, sixth grade, seventh grade, and lower, you're going to be letter. And kind of going through do you want peer reviews? Do you want students to review it? And you can assign students or automatically assign the students there. And finally, who gets it? Does this discussion go to everybody, or are you just picking different people that's going to go to? And within the assigned part, you see when it's due, when it's available to. So when they have to do it might be different to, I'm going to leave it a couple of days after. So we're going to set it for now. We're going to go to, 2 weeks from now. And then if you need to add separate groups, you can always add and kind of fill out separate, because I only added, I want 10 people to have to do it from this time to this time, but I want the other 20 people to do it from this time to this time, and that sort of thing. All right. That's discussions. Of course, there's a save button. So save and save publish. I'm canceling because I'm not going to add anything right now. So, Biz, how are we looking?
I would like you to talk about moderating, please.
Moderating. How did I forget moderating? Okay, so one of the things that we have here is the idea that we're worried about students posting things that we don't want them to post. And there is no simple way for you to approve post. There is no way for you to approve posts before they go up. So a lot of this comes down to two different things. As a school and as a classroom, the emphasis on good digital citizenship and expectations in the class, just like you would do for other classroom experiences. And then also, if you're in a situation where you think this might be a concern, and that could be any classroom, right? As a teacher, just checking and going through and seeing, you can set your notifications to alert you when students have posted. If you have it for a window open that students are going to be posting, maybe you're a little bit more vigilant having it go to your phone because you've downloaded the app and put that and get notifications. So I would say prevention and then just kind of being aware is the best way to handle when a student posts something that shouldn't be posted. You can always, as a teacher, remove it, but it will happen from time to time, and so just to be aware. Prevention and then quick reaction, I guess.
There's a lot of questions about people wanting to have their students respond to discussions with voice or video, especially the younger ones. If I may be so bold, and this is already starting to come up in the chat, I think that discussions is not the be-all, end-all. I think Flipgrid is amazing if you want to have your students using their voice or video to respond, and I would say that's a better platform because it's easier to moderate too. So that'd be my recommendation if you want video and voice.
I think it's great when you're bold. So that is good. That was an excellent choice. I agree. Flipgrid is good. Use that, and you're right. This is just another option. So if, yeah, Flipgrid, or there are other options there too with external tools, or just simply redirecting if it's not going to integrate. Anything else?
I think we're good to go.
Okay. All right, back to it. Okay, so we've covered pages, we've covered discussions. Let's talk assignments. So assignments, the work that we're going to be expecting our students to do. I click on the course navigation, I see my assignments here, I get a laundry list of assignments, and I can start working here. Just showing you kind of what's there already, because in our course there's a lot of assignments that have been put into modules. You can create assignments within modules, or you can create them in this assignment section, and that's where I'm going to go through. We've already talked about how group, we're just going to not focus in on right now. We want to hear what Prince William is doing with grading. We are not going to worry about the weights right now either, even though you do see it right here, but I wouldn't do it with the classes just yet. So You can, with these options, move and duplicate assignments if you would like to. You can send to people if you would like as well by clicking on send. We are going to focus on the creation of the assignments, so I'm going to hit plus assignment right here. Okay. So the assignment name is going to be, my practice assignment. Real fancy here. And we get our, hopefully again, you're getting real used to this, the rich content editor. And we have access to do all sorts of things. So if you're giving an assignment and you want to use a video right here to kind of express, this is where the details of the assignment go. If you want to type it out, if you want to record, if you want to embed something, you would just use the rich content editor. For point structure, we have the points here, just like in the discussions we go through. How many points is the assignment going to be worth? Are we choosing points or are we choosing letter grade instead? Kind of going through percentage or points or letter grade are the big ones that we use in Prince William County. If we do not want this to count against the final grade, count towards the final grade, we can check this box and this will prevent the grade earned from being averaged into the final grade. So when we talk grades, we should just bring up, if you haven't heard of the speed grader, that is a component of Canvas that'll be integral to kind of how we're doing things. The hope is that it'll integrate right into the hub in the gradebook. We're still waiting for final word on how that all works. Speed grader will be something that gets focused on, I believe, tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then Friday, of course. So submission type. How do you want your students to submit something to you? This is where things get fancy. So we have a couple of options here. First off is no submission. You're going to be doing something where they are not submitting something through Canvas. If you're still in the classroom, maybe if we're doing 50-50, and you want students to write something out or do a project or do a presentation or do, a performance, then maybe no submission, but still creating this. So why would you create this in Canvas? You get access to the speed grader. Speed grader is great. It allows you to go back and forth and with the students, and so just creating the assignment with his no submission kind of creates that section in SpeedGrader for the assignment. Online, if you're going to have the students submit something online, they get different options. Do you want the submission to be a text entry? They just get their own content, rich content editor, and they go through and they have all these options right here. Do you just want them to submit as a website URL? You can add multiple, by the way. Media recordings, are they going to record or submit a recording that they have, or a file upload? So just kind of posting their files that they have. They've created something that you want them to submit that. If you're getting real picky, you can restrict the files, and it can only be a Word document, and then, DOC, .doc and docx, and go through, and you can restrict file types right there. So no submission online on paper. Same idea as the no submission, but they're going to be doing it on paper more explicitly. And external tool. External tool is really cool. It grows on the tools that you have access to. So when you're at submission type and you choose external tool, the next thing you're going to want to do is click on find. And then you can see what is available to you at your school. There are division-wide licenses for certain things like Adobe Spark. Canvas Studio is baked into Canvas itself, so that's going to be there for everybody. Clever as well. When we get to things like Nearpod, oh, because it's not attached to my school. Okay, so Nearpod is a school-by-school decision and purchase. So some schools that use it will have it integrated, others won't. We see VoiceThread, Zoom. Those are all things that we'll have access to. Zoom might not want to be something you do as the external tool because you will have access to it through something else. So when you choose your tool, one of the ones that we have options to are Office 365, which I'm going to use right here. And what the Office 365 option does, the same as when you're picking from the Google Drive, is that it will attach right to your OneDrive, right? So when you logged in, you, as a Prince William County employee, you have to use your Office 365 username password. So it already knows who you are. And it's pulling right from your OneDrive. I happen to have just a Canvas folder that I've created right here, and I can pick the different assignments in there. So I've created something, and this is just a real quick assignment, and this is already a part of the course itself. So as a student, you'd be able to see it, but just showing how I did that. External tools, and then I picked Office 365, and then I got drilled down to my LinkedIn to Canvas assignment. Click on this, attach the file. Hopefully we don't wait too long. There we go. And then I get a choice right here to load in a new tab. Personally, I like when things load in a new tab, but we've been told for accessibility, that's the more proper choice to make things accessible, is to have it stay within the tab so a screen reader doesn't have to jump around. But you do have that option. And then select. So that's added that assignment. And what that's going to do is, well, I'll get to that later because I'll actually show you the real assignment. So right here is how many attempts. Do you want it unlimited for your students or limited? Do they get to do it as many times, or do they have a certain number of times? If certain number, how many? And you can kind of go through there. Who does it get assigned to? Everybody or certain groups of students. You can pick which students you would want. The due date, of course, and then when it's open from. So due date, when it's open from, and then you would hit save, and when you're ready to publish, you would publish. So I said I wanted to show you what that particular one did. I'm going to go into the modules right here, and you guys will see day 3 is open to you. You don't have to follow right now because I'm just showing this to you. But day 3, I just did this one right here. And in the rich content editor, I added a little video right here. And this is what popped up when I attached that PowerPoint that you saw from my OneDrive. So each student gets a copy that they get to edit of the PowerPoint or of the Word document or of the Excel sheet, all that stuff that's through Office 365. So they get their own personal copy that they get to edit. And when you're in there as a student, you see the edit button, but you'd also see a submit button as well. So they would go through and they could edit the presentation. They get to choose between editing it in the browser itself, which many are comfortable with, or as a Prince William County staff or student, you have access to the full version of it, so they could edit it in the full version. And then when they're done, they're saving and then they're submitting. So this is a really great way, using that external tool, to create those carbon copies that won't change the original, but will allow students to edit directly their own personal copy of it and then submit it back to you. So there are thousands of applications for that, as I'm sure a number of you are already thinking about right now. When we're back in there and we're creating other external tools, I just want to point out Adobe Spark, again, Prince William County access, so you can create a Spark and then students will have their own copy of it that they could edit and go through. Flipgrid, if you wanted to make a Flipgrid assignment, it will pull from your Flipgrid as long as you're integrated in, and that's done by a teacher and class basis. Nearpod works very well with this. It streamlines the process, so there's not as much concern for the students to access it. They just kind of get right in. So, and if you are looking, when you get more comfortable with SpeedGrader, going through the assignments and using these external tools, when possible, they will integrate with SpeedGrader. Like these Office 365 documents will be submitted and will be a part of SpeedGrader, which would then, after being graded, would be set to your grade book. All right, Biz, what did I miss?
Okay.
Oh
That's
no.
great. I want to say thank you to Nisha, who's been furiously answering questions with me.
Okay.
Um, so there are some general questions
Okay.
just about, I guess, using Microsoft and or Google with just how that works and who has access to it. So if you don't mind just explaining that through one more time.
Yeah, sure. So what will happen is if you're going through and doing that process that I just demonstrated, you're using the external tool, I'll share as I go through it. If you're using the external tool to create that, when I went to Office 365, and then this is just pulling from my OneDrive that I have attached to my Prince William County account. And then I pick something, it's not going to change. They don't have access to changing what is set in your Office 365, but they will get a copy. So if you have 30 students in a class, then 30 copies will be generated, and each student will get to change and edit their individual copy, and then submit that. So that won't impact the original in any shape, way, or form. Was
Okay.
that the question?
Yeah, I think you did a good job. And I just also I want to address this because it's a hot topic in the chat right now, and I
Okay.
also don't want to overstep. So I'm going to try to say this in the most district way possible. At some schools, um, specific Google domains have been set up for teachers and students to use. That is an administrative decision. I think it's only fair that an administrator could request that to be done at their school. Please do not, for your own protection, please don't use a personal Google account within Canvas or with your students at all. And that's for your protection and for their data protection. And I guess the other thing I would say on top of that is almost anything that is in Google, you can download it as a document or download a Google Slides into PowerPoint, and then you'd have to clean it up a little bit. But my district answer for you is that administration has to be the one to request Google. It does take some time to set up, and Microsoft will do these same things for you in Canvas that Google does.
That was very well worded. Nice
Thank you.
job. Yeah. I did see, now that I'm seeing the chat right now, I saw go by PDFs. Can they edit PDFs? No, they don't get any special rights over PDF by having this shared. So if you're sharing a PDF, they would need to have the editing software for that. And we can't assume that students will have that software. All right, moving on. Is that
Talk
where we're
about
at?
quizzes.
Let's talk about quizzes. I agree. Quizzes are good. All right. So some of you, let's see, I want to find quizzes. There they are. Um, First off, what is a quiz? A quiz is a quick check tool. You know what a quiz is to go through. This isn't necessarily a full summative. You could turn this into full summative assessments with a little bit of work and kind of going through and following everything. The division has purchased Mastery Connect. We don't at this time have any more information to share with you except that Mastery Connect has been purchased. If you've ever looked at it, you'll see that it is a giant platform for both sharing content amongst CLTs and within the school, and also doing kind of summative testing and going through there. So hopefully more on that in the very near future, but this isn't Mastery Connect. This is just the quizzes feature that is in Canvas. But still, it's really good, and I think you might really like it. So I'm on the quizzes section right here. And I can see the assignment quizzes. These have all been just kind of gone through, and these are the different groups that they're in that were created. And if I want to go through and add the quiz, I click this and I see you can make this box go away by clicking on remember my choice, but I like to leave it off for training purposes. You will get asked to choose between classic quizzes and new quizzes. Pick new quizzes. Classic quizzes will work, but it's going to stop working probably by the end of the school year, if not before. New quizzes is where Canvas is going, and it is nice. It looks different. So you'll see a little bit of things you're like, wait a minute, we haven't seen this in Canvas yet. So it's going to look a little bit different, but it has a lot of great features. So you're going to pick new quizzes and go with that. Hit submit. And then this part looks familiar, right? So we get an assignment name. So just, that good old practice quiz. We have points right here. We can assign points. Assignment groups, again, we've said just kind of stay away from that for right now. Display grade, we've done before. The It has this right here, which is kind of weird because you can't edit it in that the quiz itself is new quizzes is an external tool, so you just kind of leave that right there. You don't want to touch. You can choose between how many attempts right here for that. That'll be kind of like a blanket for everybody. And then we hit, you can change the due date available from, we hit save. And this is where we build and change settings for the new quizzes, right? I'm gonna move my little box right here. All right, so we have these different sections right here: build, settings, report, moderate. We'll go through all those, but first we want to go through build. If I want to change that title, I can always click on the little pencil, change the title. If I have any kind of blanket instructions I want to give, hey, do the quiz. There's your instructions. You can hit done. This is a place where you can insert any media. So if you can read that, it's real tiny. You can insert some media right there, some video, embed some things right there. You can add links and you can do your other normal editing right there. This is some math functions that you can put in there. So I'm going to hit done just to say do the quiz, and I have this little blue plus, a very important blue plus, because what that does is it allows us to insert content, and we see a whole bunch of different options. If you go to the participant document that was shared both in Canvas and both in the links for Sprouting today, then you'll see links that will give better definitions for all of these. We're not going to be able to go through them all, but just know that you have access to that. We are going to start with stimulus. It's kind of separated out because it's a little bit different. This is not necessarily asking students to answer a question, but this is providing more information. So a stimulus could be that reading passage. It could be the periodic table. It could be a map. It could be, which content did I miss? Social studies? No. It could be all sorts of different things. And so you're going through and you can add, you get the another editor right here, and you can start plugging away some stuff in it. So you can give that a title. The title for this we can just use as, here's stimulus. I can spell and type, and then instructions, optional, of course. And then you can just go through and you can add, post, paste, and put in whatever content that you want to be in there. If you want a URL that you want to keep, it's not for the students as it is just for you. You can just put that in there. Item banking, we really haven't mentioned yet, but it pops up sometimes. You'll see right here, sometimes it pops up as a little piggy bank looking thing. So if you want to throw it into the bank, then it gets stored there so you can pull it and add from the bank other times in other quizzes, the same stimulus that you've already created, or you can also do the same thing for questions. So if somebody's drawing. So if we add the stimulus right here, add. So let's say there is a reading passage, and I want those the questions right there that go with that particular reading passage. Then after I've added that stimulus, I can add the questions here. If I wanted a second one, I wanted another reading passage, I can either do it before or I can do it after. Or just like here, attach questions, I get the same options, and that you can, mix and match how you want to do it. There's that piggy bank. So I've added a stimulus, and let's add a question. Do you have to use a stimulus? No, you could just do questions all the time. Instead of just choosing this, I would have chose any of these. I'm going to go to a good old friend, multiple choice. Hello, multiple choice. And then the question title up here for multiple choice is for you, for kind of your purposes. This isn't something for the students. This is more if you want to make it specific so you can find them if you are banking these questions, or if you are just keeping them, or if you want to attach, I know social studies background, so it's US 1 for C, and have that there. You can put which standard that's going to go through. We have here the editor, so you can put in the question itself. And how are you doing today? We can put all sorts of answers right here. Feeling great. And so on and so forth. Meh. So I just wanted to put there, if we change the bubble right here, we get the right answer. If we want to remove some choices, you just get a couple of options right here. So just two. You can leave feedback. So if they pick the wrong one, you can give sort of information kind of going back, or the right one too. So, hey, great job, or, sorry you're feeling that way. So feedback for individual answers is a great option that we have here in this quizzes feature. So we have options of adding an on-screen calculator. It's not a Desmos calculator. It is either a graphing calculator or, I'm sorry, it's either a scientific or a basic, not a graphing. So scientific or basic. You can choose to vary points by the answer. So if you wanted one of those choices, if you wanted different answers for partial credit, you could do that, and then right up here you would choose. So this one gets full points, and I feel bad, meh. So you'll still get 3. You can choose to do that. You can shuffle the choices that they get, so they're scrambled. I guess that would be good, even in an at-home environment. So that's an option and always very useful. Outcomes. We haven't talked too much about outcomes. I'll mention it right here. This is hopefully for Prince William County, what it's going to be is that it'll become a place where we can align with standards. And so you align, for us, outcomes would be standards, or yeah, standard. I can never remember the name. Sorry, CTE teachers and everybody. You guys have something else. I never remember the name for it. So you can kind of go through there. So that's where we would align. Hopefully that's going to be an option for us and not just us kind of adding it in ourselves. Item banking. You can add here again that piggy bank that you saw. So if you really like the question that you made, you could add it to the bank. If you wanted overall feedback, general feedback for the students for correct answer, incorrect, or just, feedback regardless, points for the particular question, and then when you're done, you just hit done. There you go. And if you want the next question, you kind of go through and you can add. So there's lots of really great ones. Where was that I wanted to show? That it would be fill in the blank. That's a good one, in that you're writing out the statement and then you're choosing which words are going to be blank. I see I'm running a little bit late on this, so I'm not going to go through too many different questions right here. What else can we show? Numeric. Make sure if you're choosing numeric that you don't want to have to add anything that's not a number. So it's not centimeters squared, because you can't add the cm. So you're just doing numbers. Categorization, you're just, putting things in different categories. File upload, that's an interesting choice for a quiz, but I guess that works. Ordering, kind of putting through and choosing what order, of course. All right, I feel like that's questions right there. So we're going to move through questions. We have settings. From the build, we can go to settings and we see other options, the same shuffle questions and shuffle answers. If you want to shuffle questions and answers only for specific situations, you would leave this blank and then do that within the question itself. Well, that would be for the answers. I guess this would be the overall shuffling of questions. One question at a time. Do you want it more like the CAT test where they're only going to see the one question at the time go through? They have to finish it before they go to the next one. Access code, you want to limit student access, so they have to have the code, and you would share that later. Do you want the students to have a time limit? So how many hours, how many minutes do they get for that particular test? Don't worry about filtering IP addresses. We don't do that here. Allow for calculators. This would just be a global setting for that quiz. Allow multiple attempts. So do you want students to be able to take it? Remember when we did the unlimited or limited, how many times? Then kind of going through, well, it also gives this same option right here. It allows you to decide how the score should be done. Do you pick just the highest score, an average, or the latest one that was done? And do you want to add any wait period, kind of a cool down time, minutes, hours, days before they retry it? And then do you want to stop students from seeing kind of the results that go on? Speaking of results, reports that are in here will come when students, we haven't had anyone take the quizzes or this fake quiz that I just made, so you're not going to see anything there. Outcomes is kind of going through how they did based on any outcomes attached to that. And quiz and item analysis, we'll just kind of go through and yeah, can't see, but it'll analyze that. Moderate. This is really great for our students that need some accommodations. You can go through student by student and see who and make some changes right there. So if I find Tim right here and I hit moderate, I can choose a couple of things here. Now the whole group of students only get one chance, but I'm going to give Tim two chances, two attempts to do this. And even though everyone got just a half hour, I'm going to give additional time and kind of go through that. So he's going to get an extra 2 hours and right there. And then so when I'm done, I just hit and you can see that that's saved right there for time, but also the attempts as well. All right, I hit return and I've got my practice quiz here. So when I'm ready to publish it, go right here. If I wanted to add to a module now, I can go to modules. This is the same for assignments and the same for pages. But once I'm back in that modules and I wanted to add it, I hit this plus button and then I can choose. Am I looking to add an assignment, a quiz, a file, a page? I just made that quiz right here and I can see it's not published, so I don't see that right yet. But then I can add a new quiz, or if I had it published, it would go right there. All right. Biz, we're running low on time. What do I got?
So can you real quick just go back into that quiz and show a question where that you can add like an open response? And also, I think, tell me if this is true or not, if you know, are students able to like type a fraction so that it like looks like a fraction instead of like 2-6? Do you know what I mean? Like above and below? I know, I think
know
math teachers
exactly.
can do it, right? Math teachers can do it in the rich content editor. Do you know if students can do it in the responses?
Do it in the responses. I'm not 100% sure. I wish I did. That's a really good
Okay.
question, and kind of going through and having that there. So that would be something we have to look at and go through. So
Yeah,
one of the
show that free response.
yeah, the free response, I'm just seeing right here, we've got the plus essay, and we can go through, and then you can give them the option of using the rich content editor. So your title, question title, add any prompts to it, and then we have as options, like what do you want them to have access to? So this is great. Is it the rich content editor? Well, yeah, I do want them to be able to type in there and do all sorts of things, so that's good. Do you want them to have spell check, word count, word limit, and all that? So I think just using the essay prompt would be the great way to do the open response.
I'm going to go ahead and share the attendance link, and I think we can officially like formally move into the looser Q&A time. If I may just strongly encourage you, please, please, please make sure you guys fill this out completely and correctly. We've had some problems with people not putting in exactly their own name or their own email address, so they're not getting a copy of it. So please be attentive to how you fill out the form. It is literally the only way we have of marking your attendance. And I will share it several times. So what we have been doing for moderation that seems to be working pretty well is if you will raise your hand, we'll try to call on you in order. But Brian Kelly has a question. Is the county planning to create bank of quizzes? Oh,
Ah,
thank you.
okay.
Yeah, you can speak to that.
Yeah. I can say, one, you can find quizzes in the Commons. That's not necessarily answering your question. So what the county is doing right now, they've got groups of content teachers, and some of you might even be a part of that, who are working on different content to share. We don't have a clear understanding of how expansive that will be. We know it's supposed to be the core and is the core content areas, and teachers are creating content for that. How you will have access to that hasn't been made clear to us yet, so we are still waiting, and I'm sure that those groups will have that ironed out in the near future. So quizzes, whether quizzes are going to be a part of that content or not, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was really looking at like unit tests and what, because I know in the past the math department created excellent unit tests. Just to know how that was going to transfer over to online. So
I think you'll find unit tests when we have access to Mastery Connect. We just don't have access to that yet.
Yeah, okay. And what's going to be created for Mastery Connect, we're just not quite sure yet either.
Okay, thank you.
For those who are looking to raise hands, not sure, that would be done in the participant box, and then there's a little more button, and then you see, well, that's a clapping, thumbs up, thumbs down. Where's my hand raising? Maybe I can't raise my hand. I'm not sure if I can raise my hand as a host. No. That should be in there, right? That's where it is.
The question is, do we,
Brian?
I'm sorry?
I think you're the host, so you can't.
Yeah, that's what I think it is. I think as a host, I can't do it. It threw me there for a second.
So I'll keep telling you what's in the chat, though. Somebody asked.
Okay.
I don't think we know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask anyway. Do we have any idea when new employees can get into Canvas?
The best answer we have right now is when you officially start on contract. That's not a good answer. That's just the answer. So the best answer I guess we have is we don't know. But we would guess it would happen when you have access to all that, when your accounts are created for Office 365 and going through. It might be a little bit later. You might have to be associated in the hub and Synergy and have individual school Synergy administrators kind of plug everybody in there. And then you'll have access to your classes. But because this is our first time through, it's kind of a wait and see.
Brian, can I jump in there just for a second?
Please.
So I was just talking with some folks at the county. We wanted to make sure that we were addressing that concern because that was applying to quite a few of you, and then also some of the concerns about when those modules will be available. So there's some discussions on that right now. Number one, giving new teachers access early if they're able to do that for either Zoom or Canvas, and then also getting some maybe more information from the content specialists in terms of when the modules will be available and what details they can share. So information on that will be forthcoming, and the folks at KLC are aware of those concerns.
Thank you, Nisha.
I thought I saw some hands up, but now I don't see them. So, sorry if I'm missing it. Oh, I got it. I got one. Okay. Tom, I think. H-Fly Tom.
Oh, here.
Oh, sorry. Actually, that's my husband. Anyway, I wanted to ask, I have quite a few paper documents, obviously, that I've used. Is there a way that I can scan them in and use them as an assignment?
Okay, so if you mean like paper, don't have a digital copy, things get real ugly with scanning and PDFs and accessibility. So that's one of the worst ways for accessibility to handle it. Hates the images like that. So you could have that there, but you would also have to take into consideration how are you going to make it accessible. So maybe that is they have access to the PDF that you're sharing with them, but they would access the material in also another way that is accessible. Okay.
Okay, Laura is up next. If you want to unmute your...
Yeah, I got you. My question is sort of a little more general. I'm a math specialist, so I have an entire school. So I guess it just sort of hit me now. If I create stuff and don't have kids attached to me, does anybody see my stuff, or is it just being created in limbo somewhere?
There's a couple that's a very good question, and no, students wouldn't have access to your stuff if you don't have courses unless you're inviting them in individually, and I'm not sure if that's the path you want to take as a math specialist. I think what you would want to do is share your content with the teachers. This can be done a couple of ways, by sending it to the Commons and labeling it as PWCS, or I think there's a school-only option. I'm not sure, it's definitely a PWCS option. Also, another option you could choose is to make your teachers, I'm guessing you have somewhere between 8 and 15, maybe 20, your teachers, you could add them as teachers in the course, and then they could pull that information very quickly into their own courses too.
Okay, so will the schools have always had websites where we've had pages. Are those going to be disappearing then? Because I mean, for someone like a specialist, those are always the best way for parents to pull resources and do those sorts of things. I mean, is that going to be the same or different, or is the school getting pulled under Canvas? How is that working?
Yeah, I would say, and please jump in, Biz or Nisha or anyone else that has more information on this, but I would say that the goal is to remove content and instruction from the website, make that more information sharing about school business in general, or maybe a little bit about the teacher, but to keep content and instruction within Canvas.
But it would be okay to keep like resources for parents on the website and then things for students on Canvas.
I think that would be fine. The teacher, parent-specific stuff, but also there's lots of different ways to share, as I'm sure you've already had experience with. I think it would be, yeah, if it's not explicit instructional material, then I think the website would be fine, but I would want to take a look case by case, because we just don't want to have too many different places where parents would go and kind of unify it. And if they're getting their material either emailed to them or access in some way through Canvas, then we would want to not do that also in the website, I guess. You're balancing, different ways to access and making it accessible to parents versus confusion.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, just
Yeah.
kind of
I hope I
position,
answered
and
that.
I know I'm not the only one. I'm like, am I creating this stuff in a vacuum, or should I be doing it differently?
Right. No, yeah, with Canvas, the underlying idea is where instruction is under Canvas, and we're keeping that in our own, kind of walled garden, to borrow a phrase.
Perfect, thanks.
Danielle is up next.
I just wanted to say, I think you're going to go over this tomorrow in regards to embedding Flipgrid into an assignment. I did, after yesterday's session, made my account in Flipgrid. So I didn't know how that was going to look like to go in and insert something like that into an assignment.
You know what, Danielle, thank you for bringing that up. I've been bothered by that, and I even mentioned it to a couple of people because I answered that question wrong yesterday in the 11 o'clock. So yes, when you're doing the assignment as an external tool, you would choose Flipgrid. So where I demonstrated it was using Office 365, but instead you would choose Flipgrid to do that. Now you can put a Flipgrid in the rich content editor and embedding, but if you're looking to do that as an assignment and integrate it more, you would want to do it as an external tool and then just choosing Flipgrid. Now remember, you do have to go through the integration process. I believe for Flipgrid, it's individual to the teacher.
Every course has to do it individually.
Course. Yeah, and so you would integrate through the process that was demonstrated yesterday of going into your settings for your courses and then going to apps and then adding the secrets that are in there, the key and the handshake, shared secret.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you for reminding me about that. Biz and Nisha and all my other co-hosts, you guys did a great job. I think you've taken care of all their concerns and questions. That's great.
I don't know if we have. Well, we do appreciate everybody who is being patient with us as we try to handle your questions. They do come in fast and furious. So,
Yeah.
So thank you for your patience if we've missed one. And I think Robin has a question.
I do. I just, and I can't, it's really when you navigate through and have the hands go up in participation, but I'm always in the chat. So then if I don't have both of them up, I never see, both.
Oh yeah, you should try on this end when we're doing the
Oh,
moderator.
trust me. And the beauty of it all was I had my camera off and I'm shaking my head at, no, you can't do it as a host. I tried. And I'm thinking, you couldn't see me doing that.
Right.
So my question has to do, I kind of asked Biz when we came to decide, but it was my understanding that PDFs are okay to put in and that they are accessible to the students. It's just that they're not a format that you can respond on. Is that what you're telling us?
Two different things there, accessibility and being able to edit. So any PDF could be accessible, yes, as long as it's been created and formatted correctly and it goes through the accessibility checker and it comes out, you're good to go. So that's the first part of it. What I was responding to earlier is that a scanned in or an image is almost never accessible just because it comes as an image and not the text that's in there.
Can I tell you something that I did because I had so many essays that I actually had to give kids feedback on and they had to do their retakes at our closure. There's this great little app you can put on your phone. It's called Office Lens.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll actually pull things in after you take a picture of it. We'll pull things in and it'll ask you if you want it to be a Word doc, a PDF, it has different formats. It's really amazing. It doesn't always make it beautiful, like you have to play with it sometimes.
Right.
But I found it to communicate between my kids and I after all they had done and then having, us not at the same school. And essays are a tricky thing to send information back about. It was beautiful. So I just thought I'd put a plug for that.
No, that is good. And every tool and trick that is available out there, we have to share when possible.
Maria Clark shared it with me. So.
Well, thank you to Maria. The other one that you were talking about accessibility and then editing. So editing would be different. That would depend on the student having PDF editing software at their disposal. And that's not something that's, the good stuff is expensive. And
and we're not giving that to them in any format.
No.
Or we're not making our PDFs accessible.
We are to make our PDFs accessible, but that doesn't mean we.
The editing part is doesn't come automatically with what we send them.
No.
We would strongly recommend Word for that, just because it's just easier for them. Even if you do have the ability to make a PDF editable, it's just so hard for them. So.
Okay, so if we send them an editable PDF, it does not populate with them as an editable PDF. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. If it's editable to you, it's probably because of the software. There are annotations and things that you can do. If that's what you're expecting, there are basic annotation features that they can do. But like full editing, moving content around and stuff like that, that's not going to work.
That's not going to happen. Okay, thanks.
I got more hands up, so I think Jessica is next.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just testing the raising hand feature.
Oh, you've mastered it.
Yeah, you figured. Another win.
That means Maria Clark, who we've been talking about, must have her ears burning, and she has her hands up.
I was just wondering, so if we have things that came with our textbook, things like that we wanted the kids to be able to read or whatever, do we have copyright?
Do we have copyright issues with stuff? If it's we've purchased licenses for the students so they can access that. That's one of the many reasons why we want instruction off the website, because while
I don't know what happened.
It's okay. I think I got your question. Do we have the rights to use purchase materials for textbooks in Canvas? Yes. The easy answer is yes. And that's one of the reasons why we want it off the website, because while some of us have been sharing to get it to our students in a very efficient manner, that opens it up to the entire planet. And we haven't purchased licenses for everybody. So using that purchase material in Canvas, absolutely. I think I got that. I'm not sure.
You did, but I don't think Maria could hear you. She just commented, I can't hear anymore.
Oh no! So we won't say what. So yes, thumbs up. Does that work?
I will tell you that she's in a little pod with us, and I'll send her that information.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. No problem.
Danielle has her hand up.
I'm sorry, again, I have a question. For special education students, a lot of times when we teach, we use graphic organizers. So a lot of our content can be based around that, get that interactive quality, that kind of conceptuality, so the kids can really kind of hone in on their critical thinking skills. Mm-hmm. Is there any way, or could you guys, when you're getting with other people that are working on this, to help special educators figure out how we cannot reinvent the wheel for our curriculum? Because I think right now, I mean, I know I can go on like a Microsoft Word document and I can use like the smart tools and I can recreate stuff. And I get it, like we're gonna have to do that. Unfortunately, a lot of times our classes, we have, just like most teachers, we teach like, we have 3 different, types of classes. So we're not just teaching like an Algebra 1 or an Algebra 2, we're doing like comp skills, learning strategy, social skills on top of, something else. So is there any way that you guys can just maybe have that dialogue to see if there's an easy way for all teachers, but specifically, I think as a special educator, I know that we really utilize that a lot. And if there's any way to make it a little bit easier for us, just to be able to use some of the stuff we already have and just to kind of go from there.
Right, yeah. Special educators do carry a heavy lift when going through and trying to make everything workable, easy, and following the legal accommodations that are required. So I think that not only would we kind of see what the county could do, but make sure to work with your ITC at the school and see what's going on, and whether it happens at a site level or a division level, just kind of sharing material. It's just like, we do need to figure out how to best make that happen.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you're not alone. I see some vigorous head nodding.
Yeah.
So we hear you. We do.
Yeah.
I don't think we have any more hands up or questions in the chat at this moment. Oh, I lied. Amira put her hand up.
Amira.
Hey, how are you? Thank you so much for your help.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. All right, I do have a question for chemistry. I usually give them like a packet, and we kind of, it's like guided notes kind of thing, and we work on it a little bit, and then we do some labs, and then go back to videos and whatnot. So my question is this: is there a way that I can still use those packets by putting them on? Like you were showing today, I took some notes. I don't know exactly what it was called, but I think it was like under the courses assignments. And then you said that they can kind of like manipulate their own without like affecting mine. Would that be it? Like,
yes. So if you have a really long, packet, it sounds like you do, many pages, you might want to divide up as you're going through. And then so when you're pulling from your Office 365 account, if you're using Word, then you would divide up maybe by standard or unit or however you base it in, then they could get that access. So first you would want to figure out how you want to structure your course and, what material, when, what's included from the stuff you've already created, split those up into different sections, and then share each section as an external tool, Office 365, within the assignments. And then they would get that little piece, that chunk of piece, and they can go through, edit, and if you want it sent back to you, then they send back to you and submit it.
That's great. So it's best if so you're saying pretty much that it's best if I break it down and not give it to them as a unit packet, correct?
I'm saying that just with if you wanted it submitted to you and you're giving a whole year at once, you would have to wait to the whole year for them to kind of go through and do it. So I'm not, I mean that I guess that's a personal preference if you're okay with that and just kind of a running tab. Now, if you want that as not just necessarily an assignment, you might want to look at just kind of creating that material within Pages. You know, just if it's a Word document again, or Google, you know, just select copy, Control A, and copy and paste stuff into Pages differently. Maybe add some videos, make it more fleshed out with different things you can do in the rich content editor. So I think my answer is, depending on really where you want to go with your plans with this, Canvas allows for a lot of flexibility in what you can do.
All right, thank you.
We do have some more hands up, but we also had a request that you share the redirect tool again from yesterday.
The redirect tool.
So if you can pull up your screen, I'm going to ask you to multitask.
Okay.
And
I'll
I
try.
would like you to speak to Lori
been a
while
long
you
morning.
pull up your screen.
Okay. Redirect. I want out of quizzes. Okay.
Lori, if you want to unmute your mic, Brian can show that after you have a chance to ask your question.
All right. It's sort of related to several other people's questions, but
okay.
Would he be able to talk really slow for an old lady and explain to me, let's say I want to create a worksheet in Microsoft Word and I want kids to be able to write on it. And I know that the external tool that you keep talking about is important, but can you tell me from start to finish, and I'm going to sit here and type what you say, exact steps to start a worksheet and be able to submit it so kids can write on it and submit it and it doesn't change it?
Gotcha. Okay.
Thank
no,
you.
I think we can do this. So I will, I'll show you. I'm in Office 365. Are you a current employee of Prince William County or a new employee?
I am a current employee.
Okay, so you've seen this before, and then you can
Yes.
go through and, you know, go to your OneDrive, and I would suggest, you know, creating a Canvas folder, maybe kind of going in there, and then having that, I would go to New, and then sorry, I'm maybe clicking a little fast. I'm just in OneDrive, and then I'm in a Canvas folder that I would recommend creating. I'm Word document is kind of going through there. And then I am just creating the Word document and doing whatever it is that you want students to have access to. So
Yep.
we're just gonna, you know, like, you know, yay. I don't know a name at this point in the day. So we'll see right there and just kind of have that. And then you know that it saves automatically. I can't see because of the bar at the top. So I'm gonna go back here, close that. I've got my file should be saving right there and kind of going through. There it is. And now I have that there in OneDrive. So whatever that material is just sitting right there in OneDrive, right?
Yes.
So now that I've created that there, I'm going to go into Canvas. I'm going to go as an assignment. I'm going to click on Plus Assignment. And then after I fill out all the other information, I get to a submission type external tool.
Okay.
And I click on Find. I scroll through, I'm looking for Office 365. I click on that. Remember I said, you know, I had that Canvas folder that you just saw. So I just go into my Canvas folder and I've got my silly little yay document. So I choose that. I attach the file. And after it's done spinning, it'll allow me to, you know, finish everything. I'm going to select. There we go. It's connected. It's talking. I'm going to hit save. And then so when students, it wants me to finish all this, but that's the process. So after you finished all that, you have created an assignment that will post a copy to each of your students that is editable by the students that they can then edit and submit.
Thank you so much. I'm muting myself. I appreciate you.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
We have requests about both Flipgrid and about integrating Flipgrid. And it's okay if you want to push that off till tomorrow, because I think we can commit to doing Flipgrid tomorrow.
Tomorrow, Flipgrid. I hear you're a part of tomorrow, so
I am a part of tomorrow. In fact, I will be your presenter tomorrow afternoon.
There you go.
But also that redirect tool. I did send a video. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's my fault. I shouldn't have asked you to multitask. Multitasking is scientifically impossible. You can't do it. You detract from both tasks.
Here. So I'm going through, and if I want the redirect tool, I'm in my course, I'm in settings, I am in apps, I'm looking for redirect. I'm sorry if this is fast. I'm adding, and then right here is where I can change the name. So, you know, I have no idea. Zoom. Even though that's a terrible choice, but just Yahoo. There we go. And then you add the link.
Better choice.
Yeah, right.
I don't need to get to Yahoo today, every day.
Okay. And then you have a couple of options right here. So force it to open for external in a new tab, show it in the course navigation. And so we would want that right there. I'm not going to add the app. I'm just going to kind of leave it, but that's the process you're going through. It's really easy. So I just went one last time. I just went to the course navigation settings, apps. I searched for redirect, and then I just did add app and filled it all out.
Okay, we still have 3 hands up, and I'm going to be really honest and tell you that they might just still have their hands up. So I'm just going to go ahead and double check again. Jessica, do you need anything?
Oh no, how do I put my hand down?
Here, I got it. I got you, Jessica. You're good.
Amira, do you need something?
Amira, you good?
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I thought I put my hand down. Oh,
we got you.
Okay. And Lori.
We're good. Don't worry.
Same thing. Just forgot.
Okay. I thought so, but I looked and I was like, I haven't checked in a minute, and they might have more questions. So okay, so back to no hands.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just so you guys know, Biz and I have been doing this since about 8:30 this morning, so it's getting there.
I have a meeting from 1 to 3.
And then you do this all tomorrow.
It's a little punchy. But we appreciate you. We really appreciate you being here, and we are really glad to be able to help you. Like now is the best time to be asking these questions and figuring these things out. And we know that you are giving up your summer mornings to spend this time learning about Canvas, and we can't applaud you enough. You're wonderful.
Thank you, sweetie. I just got food brought to me. I'm very excited. My daughter's running away.
All right, I think we're good. I think we can probably wrap this up. Friends, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow to talk about all of the questions that you asked today about embedding and integrations. And we're also going to talk about that speed grader. You're going to love it.
Yes, I love speed grader. It's good stuff.
It's so good. Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for joining.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
I think Katie has to end it.
Yeah, I was going to say Katie is the host.